Hey, what's going on, Pittsburgh Steelers fans? It's your boy here, Yins Dono. Coming at you live right now on a pretty sour, I would say, Monday afternoon. Um, Obviously, we're all pretty upset and disappointed with this loss. We're a little disappointed at how things transpired. And listen, here's the thing. Here's the thing that Steelers fans, that we all kind of understand collectively. We did not expect our team to go 16-0 and then get the first week bye necessarily in the playoffs, go 18-0, winning the Super Bowl. None of us expected that going into the season, and I can guarantee you almost none of us expected that to happen even when we were on that incredible run. However, the last 2 weeks have been incredibly hard to watch. I think the biggest problem that we have right now is it's not that the fact that we're losing. It's how we're losing. Clearly, there's one big issue that we see, and it's on the offensive side of the ball. I think our defense has been playing really well. I think the same thing is happening to our defense this year as it did last year. They're running out of gas. We can't sustain drives. We can't keep our offense on the field. When you look at the time of possession numbers, here we are. Last night, the Bills had over 35 minutes in the time of possession. We had just under 25. So they had a solid 10 more minutes on the field of the time of the possession. Their offense had time of possession than ours. That's insane. You simply can't win games if you don't win that time of possession. Sometimes you can pull it out and get lucky, but in the NFL, you cannot win games if your defense has to sustain those types, that level of play, that pace. Staggering numbers here. Rushing yards for the Bills, 104 rushing yards. Rushing yards for the Steelers, 47. Atrocious. Passing yards, 177 for the Steelers, 230 for the Bills. Ultimately, our defense played really well. I think that they did give up a few bad plays down the stretch, especially in the second half. But first half, man, the defense played lights out. I mean, what else do you want from your defense in that sort of situation or in that scenario? When they're playing so well, what else do you want from your defense? What else do you want from them? They kept the Bills to 3 points. The Bills were kept at 3 points in the first half. Obviously, that pick six towards the end of the first half really changed the outlook of that entire game. But again, I think it comes back to offensive scheme. I think it comes back to how we're preparing for these games and what play selections we're utilizing, what personnel we're utilizing. Chase Claypool was a monster for the first 10 weeks, 10 weeks, an absolute monster. Why are his snaps diminishing? Why are you not putting him on the field more? With his speed, with his size, with his stature, with his ability to catch combative balls, I really have no idea. I have no answer for why he's not on the field more. If I'm throwing a ball up, listen, man, the first person I'm thinking of right now is I'm throwing it up to Chase Claypool. But I got to give hats off to James Washington. James Washington has come in the last 2 weeks and really made a lot of big plays. Actually 3 weeks, he's made a lot of big plays. So I think James Washington's time needs to be increased a little bit here. He needs to see a lot more snaps. But when it comes to schematically and how the team is performing and how the team is playing, it's really a frustrating thing to watch, especially for Pittsburgh Steelers fans. Because honestly, at the end of the day, I think everybody watching the game, even from at home, can predict what they're doing. I don't know why you do a jet sweep toss to Jalen Samuels in the third quarter. Was it third quarter? I don't know why you do that. I don't know why you're doing half the things you do. You go and spend almost $10 million on a fullback, and you don't use him. You put him on special teams. If you wanted a special teams guy, why didn't you just keep Dirty Red? Why don't you keep Matakevich? It doesn't make sense. Pittsburgh Steelers football is pound it up the middle, down your throat, in your face. We're going to smack you right up and down that field, north and south. That's how we play football. And at the end of the day, that's not how we're playing. We're trying to do speed and space. We're trying to catch the edge. Listen, the reason why we're not gaining yards is because time after time after time, we're trying to break it for a big one. Every single time. They're trying to get the edge, get the outside. Listen, you can't do that every time. Look, Derrick Henry is one extreme great example of how it is to run the ball. He ain't afraid to run it up the gut. He ain't afraid to run it up the middle. That's how you have to play. That's how you have to run the ball. I mean, I'm tired of watching week in and week out of just predictable offensive play calling. It's not the fact that we lost. It's how we're losing. I don't think teams are beating us. I think we're losing the games. I think we're flat out losing the games. We're beating ourselves. Deontay Johnson, I don't know what he's doing. I mean, he's like Brucey in the longest yard right now. You know, shouldn't have ate that popcorn. I really don't know what to say. And a lot of times, you know, I'll give him credit. He did pick it back up in the second half. But at the end of the day, man, listen, these plays, you know, that third down drop that he had on that slant, he had nothing but daylight ahead of him. You catch that ball, you sustain that drive. We don't go 3 and out. We keep moving the ball. We get rhythm. We get momentum. It's a rhythm game. You have to continuously maintain that rhythm in order to move the ball downfield. Furthermore, in order to move the ball downfield, you have to go down the field. You can't go east and west, and that's the problem. They know we're going east and west. They know we're not pushing the ball down the field. They know that there's no reason, we can't even set up a play action because we're not even running the ball. It's the same way you would defend Kansas City. Play the pass unless they're going to run the ball, and they know we're not going to run it. They know that our scheme is terrible. They know when we send out specific personnel, it's going to be this player, it's going to be that play. Every single time when we have routes, we have wide receivers running the route combinations, they're running in the same area. Coverage is being blanketed by just 2 or 3 guys. How do you get separation when you're running these 5-yard to 7-yard out routes and they're all running the same pattern? You're not opening the field up for Ben to even get somebody the ball. So I'll put that pick 6. Most of it's on Ben's shoulders because I think that was a terrible pass. I think it was a terrible read. But I think a lot of it schematically and the route combination is heavily to blame for that. How do you not have some sort of creativity when it comes to making plays? How do you not have some sort of creativity or some sort of scheme or plan? Listen, here's my biggest thing. We have arguably one of the best defenses. It's top three in the league. And it's been like the last 2 years. And it's been like that for the majority of the time this franchise has been around. Our defense has had a huge impact on games because our defense is known. That's why we came up with the steel curtain, right? If what you're doing in practice, you're running your plays against your defense. If what we're doing in practice isn't working against our defense, then I think maybe you should try to think you might need to change it up a little bit there. Don't you think? If you're running the same plays, if you're running the same shit every single in your right mind, do you not step back and say, might need to think things out a little bit here, okay? It's not working. In the beginning of the year, we were putting up 24-plus points. I think I saw might have been Alex Kozura. He stated that 10 games in a row, for our 10 wins, we put up 24-plus points. First time in franchise history. 10 games in a row, we had that long of a streak. That's how you win games. You have to put up points. What happened the last 3 weeks that our offense can't put up points? What is it? Is it personnel? Do we have? I mean, obviously we've had some injuries, we've had some COVID issues, but I think at the end of the day, like what is it that's causing this to change? What's causing our offense to feel as if our offensive coordinator feel like these schemes are working because they're not? Is it a matter of, you know, it's been weird weeks. They've had to prepare in awkward situations. Is it so many games in such a short span of time? Is that what it is? Or is it just purely the coach being inept? I mean, we don't know. I mean, listen, like, we don't understand. We don't know whether or not we're playing, whether Ben's calling the plays or Fiechner's calling the plays. We don't know if it's being successful, if it's Fiechner doing it or Ben doing it. We really don't know. But whatever they're doing schematically, play calling wise, it isn't working. It isn't working. I don't know how you have a rookie like Chase Claypool who has these offensive explosions, who is just an absolute monster, who's a ball hawk. He's a baller, man. Chase Claypool is a baller. And he proved that the first game with that incredible contested catch against the Giants. When you saw him make that catch, that ball was perfectly placed. He goes up, he grabs it, he gets possession, puts his toes down, right? When he goes up to make those types of catches, and he does it, he was doing it week in and week out, or he's making big plays, how do you keep him off the field? How do you put him on the sidelines? You have to go with the hot hand. If I'm, as a hockey player, Pittsburgh Penguins fans, listen, Matt Murray had the hot hand, right? He had the hot hand. He's playing great. So we're throwing Murray in because he's riding the hot wave. If you got a guy who's scoring goals, you put his ass on the ice. Why? Because he's scoring goals. It doesn't matter. Same concept. If you got a player who is lights out, performing week in and week out, getting yards both on the ground and through the air, making great catches, drawing pass interference penalties, how do you put him on the sidelines? I think Juju Smith-Schuster is the player who comes up in big situations, especially he's got those heads-up plays. I think he had a great game last couple of weeks. I think he's been playing great this year. So everyone who starts talking shit about Juju dancing on TikTok, you think it's annoying. Oh, you got to focus. Listen, Juju isn't the problem. All right. You know how many plays, like when after that pick six, he was busting his ass to chase him down. He was trying to get him down, trying to tackle him. He was trying to get back to that play. That fumble by James Conner where Juju picked it back up, that's another huge play. That touchdown was set up off Juju's heads-up play, and he did the same thing earlier this year. Juju is having a lights-out year. He needs to be extended flat out. I don't think he's going to get $20 million Antonio Brown type contract, but he needs to be extended 100%. He's been playing great this year. So all these people who want to talk about him, yeah, it's probably not a wise choice to dance on their logo before the game, because that's fire the other team up. They're probably already fired up, but that's just going to piss them off either way. But I mean, Juju's a great playmaker. He's the kind of guy in those clutch situations that I'm going to rely on. But Chase Claypool is the kind of guy that he's going to give us those big plays. He's going to give us those splash plays, right? He gives us he's bigger than any DB that we're going to go against. Give him the ball. Put him on the field. And that's one thing that pissed me off because I'm here in Nashville, and I went to the Titans-Steelers game. And at the end of the first half, when Ben threw up a jump ball into double, triple coverage to Deontay Johnson, I don't understand that. Deontay Johnson is a speed and space guy. You get him the ball, he makes people miss, and he runs. That's what he does. Chase Claypool is a big, fast receiver who you throw the ball to, and he's going to run people over. Or you throw the ball up to, and he's going to come down with the ball because he's the bigger, stronger player. It's crazy to me that you're throwing jump balls to Deontay Johnson and you leave Chase Claypool, your biggest receiver, on the sidelines. That doesn't make any sense to me. It makes zero sense. Looking at the stats right now, it's been pretty frustrating. It's been pretty difficult to look at or deal with. Third down efficiency. When we were winning those games and we were playing good, we're converting third downs. Looking at it here, let's pull up the stats here, boys. Pittsburgh Steelers. Yeah, I know their football team. Google. So you look at last night, third down efficiency. Third down. Before I get into our third down efficiency, in this game and the previous games, one thing that's killed us the last two games, okay, our defense comes up big. They came up big on first and second down, okay, and against the football team, it was what, 3rd and 19, something like that, third and a mile, and they converted through a little screen play to a wide receiver. How does that happen? It's 3rd and 10 on the Bills' opening drive of the second half. Can't stop him. Goes for a touchdown. Those are killers. Those are absolute killers. If we can't stop them on third down, they keep the drive going. Absolute killers. I think a lot of that can fall on our offense because they can't sustain drives and our defense is gassed. But you have to stop. Third and long, you have to stop them. And we are having a huge, major problem on that this year. Whenever we think it's fixed, game or two down the line, it ain't fixed. Last night, third down efficiency, Buffalo, 50%, 7 for 14. You can't have it. You just can't have it. And I would honestly say that the majority of those 7 third downs that they did not convert on was in the first half. You know, our third down efficiency, 1 for 10. That is abysmal. That is abysmal. I can't even begin to fathom how horrible of a statistic that is. 10% of the time, 10% efficiency, 1 for 10. You had 10 third downs and only converted 1 of them. It's the most ridiculous thing. Looking at the Browns, Steelers. I'll go to that game because I hate the Browns. Browns, Steelers, stats, third down efficiency. Weren't very good that game either. 5 for 14. I guess it's a little bit better than what we did today. Bengals. Stats. 6 for 16. Stats against the Texans. 8 for 18. So I guess we're not playing lights out right now. Third down efficiency is crucial, man. We have to be able to convert on third down. And we have to be able to stop them on third down, especially when it's third and long. I don't understand how we can sit here, week in, week out, and have these sorts of issues, have these sorts of problems. And again, this isn't necessarily personnel, and I don't think it's personnel. I don't think it's been necessarily just Ben Roethlisberger. It's definitely not our offense, because obviously our offense is good. We have a solid offense. We have great wide receivers. When we're playing well, when our offense is doing good, you can't stop us. So what happened? What happened over the course of the last 3 weeks that caused our offense to just fall off the cliff? Is it playing so many games within a close period of time? Is there something going on in the locker room? Our coordinator trying to keep it somewhat simple so we don't have to over-prepare and necessarily overthink things? What is it that's causing our offense to be so horrendous? I'm trying not to curse. It's harder than I think. I don't know, man. At the end of the day, we really have to sit here and try to come up with a better game plan every single day to make sure that we are ultimately putting ourselves in the position to be successful, putting ourselves in the position to win games, putting ourselves in the position that we don't go 1 for 10 on third downs. I think James Conner can be a great back. I think he's proven that. I think Benny Snell can be a good back. But you're not giving him an opportunity. The way that we're running the ball right now, it doesn't make any sense. Why? There's no creativity. There's no flow. There's no fluidity of motion, right? They know they're going to stop us. James Conner can run the ball. Benny Snell can run the ball. They've both proven that. They've both had multiple 100-yard games. You got to feed them the rock, man. You got to scheme the game properly. And it just seems like our coaching, they're not studying the other team, the opposition, the last 3 weeks like they have been. And again, we look bad. I think there were some weird missed calls, but that even a few missed calls isn't going to negate the fact that our offense was terrible. Our offense was just absolutely atrocious. And, losing like this last 2 weeks has been tough, right? When we beat Baltimore, I mean, I feel like a lot of Steelers fans out there, yeah, we were happy that we got the win, but ultimately were we satisfied? And I don't think we were. At the end of the day, I think what's really causing us some issues is the NFL screwing the Steelers. I think the NFL severely dropped the ball by stripping them of their bye week. I think now, obviously, as the injuries continue to to pile up. I think as the weeks continue to go on, our guys are tired, man. They're tired. Even you could see last night, Cam Hayward, he went down. He was getting some attention. He was getting some attention in the second half. These guys are tired, man. Alex Highsmith, he went down with a bit of an injury. But when you look at the people we lost this year, Bud Dupree, Devin Bush, Spillane's out. Offensively, we got our Hall of Fame quarterback back, and he played lights out at the beginning of the year. I don't know. It's going to be a frustrating week for Steelers fans. Obviously, we have the Bengals next week, but at this point, there are no gimmies. There are no gimmies. If we can, be rooting for the Ravens tonight. Ravens can beat the Browns. Listen, man, if the Ravens can beat the Browns, and we beat the Bengals, we should secure that AFC North spot, that AFC North victory. And ultimately, I think that we should rest our starters. I think that we should secure the division, rest our starters, get them healthy, make sure they're ready to go by wild card weekend. Because at this point, I don't think the Kansas City Chiefs are gonna drop out of that spot. I think this next week their game against the Saints. I think the Saints are pissed off that they lost to the Eagles. I think the Saints will make a game out of it, and I think it could be a threat to the Kansas City Chiefs. But they're not unbeatable. And people who say that they are this rock star team who they're not human, that's not true at all. I think the thing that makes them special is the fact that they can put up points, and they can put up points fast. And that comes from their scheme. They scheme the game correctly. They know the game. They have the personnel. I don't think that their personnel offensively is any better than ours. I think Patrick Mahomes is a great quarterback, but I think Ben Roethlisberger is just as capable. I think we have great wide receivers. I think we have solid running backs. We have a solid offensive line. What's the difference there? What's the difference? Coaching, scheme. Tyreek Hill is going to try to burn you over the top. Yet they do it every game, week in and week out. Tyreek Hill burns you every single week. He does it all the time. Why is that? They're a pass-heavy offense. Even with backs like Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and what's his face, Jagoff, they have solid running backs, but yet they pass the ball a lot. Defenses know they're going to throw the ball. Yeah, they're going to pass it. We know this, and we still can't stop them. Why is that? Schematically, their game works. They understand their opponent. They understand their game. What is like what Bill Belichick said? Try to figure out what your opponent does well. Stop it. Figure out what they don't do well. Exploit it. Well, why are the Steelers have lackluster offense the last 3 weeks? It's embarrassing. Well, we're gonna try to move forward and really try to play the Bengals here next week. And obviously, like I said, it's at this point no game is a gimme. Even though they don't have Joe Burrow, the way this offense is playing, I'm not going to say this is a gimme at all. It's going to be AFC North football. It's Monday Night Football in December. We really got to come out hammered. We really got to come out big and play these guys hard, play these guys tough. But I'm really hoping and looking forward to a victory. I'm looking forward to the Ravens tonight, hopefully pulling off the W. And if we beat the Bengals next week, we secure that AFC North spot, and ultimately, we can ultimately, get that playoffs position, get a home playoff game, and hopefully we can try to make a run. But something needs to change offensively in order for us to make sure we make that run, because right now, offensively, we are just absolute trash. The way that our offense is playing right now, there's no way that there's absolutely no way that we can even make a run in the playoffs. The first few weeks, Steelers look like a Super Bowl team, 100%. All the smack that people were talking, all the stuff that people were saying about the Steelers not being a Super Bowl team, how they're not one of the best teams in the league or the best team in the league, that was I think those were unfair takes. However, at this point in time, our offense looks so bad. We are not a Super Bowl team right now. Something needs to get figured out. And again, is that scheme? I think it's a lot of it's scheme. I think a lot of it's player personnel. Well, I'm sorry, I take that back. I don't think it is player personnel because, again, when you have people like Chase Claypool, Juju, you have James Washington, who's come up big the last 3 weeks. Deontay Johnson, whenever he hasn't had popcorn before the game and he can actually catch the ball, he can take that ball. He can take us to another level. We got to figure something out, man. I'm at a loss for words. Last night hurt because, I didn't necessarily think that we were going to go in there and pull it off. I still root for my team. I still thought they could win it. As you can see behind me, I thought they were going to win 28-21. I do need to update the board, but I think I'm going to go a different color on my chalkboard right there. But it's the way they played. 100% it's the way they played. And I can't think of a single Steelers fan right now who's happy about that. When we lost to Washington, it wasn't the fact that we lost necessarily. It's how we lost. When we lost to the Bills last night, it wasn't the fact that we lost. It was how we lost. If we made a game out of it, if we played well, and it was one of those games that was back and forth, came down to the wire, I don't think a lot of players or a lot of people would be upset about it. There goes my dogs. I think, a couple years ago, 2018, I went to the Steelers Kansas City Chiefs game in Pittsburgh. Kansas City put up 21 points on us, I think, in the first quarter. We were down 21-0. Didn't look good. We came back. Our offense came back, and I think we ended up losing that game 48-45. I think Roethlisberger threw for over 500 yards, something like that in that game. That game I wasn't necessarily upset about. Yeah, it sucks that we lost. I hated losing that game because obviously I paid tickets and I drove from Nashville to get to Pittsburgh and watch the game. But at the end of the day, I wasn't like walking around upset, or I wasn't walking around pissed off about it, because our offense could put up points, and it was a game. We played each other. Yeah, there were some mistakes made on our side of the ball and their side of the ball, but ultimately it was a good, hard-fought game, and we just didn't come out the winners. But these last 2 weeks, the way that we've lost has been the most frustrating thing to watch, I think, in recent memory as a Steelers fan. Last year, when we had Duck Hodges and Mason Rudolph at the helm of quarterback, we didn't really necessarily expect much. We didn't really think that, we were going to be Super Bowl teams. We did want them to go to the playoffs. Obviously, we wanted to see them in the playoffs because we want to watch Steelers football. That didn't hurt too much, especially, when we're watching Duck and Mason. This year's different. This year, because we went on that amazing 11-0 run, this year we had higher expectations. We're seeing how our offense could perform when Seven got back in the game, right? But the last few weeks, something just hasn't been clicking. Something is going on schematically. Something is going on that we just cannot move the ball downfield. And I think a lot of that is we're not going north and south. That pick six, 5-7 yard out routes. I don't understand. It's been a long day. It's been a long night. It's 1 o'clock my time, 2 o'clock over on the East Coast. Haven't really had one viewer consistently. I appreciate the view. Any questions, any comments, concerns, anything, I would like to go ahead and bring that up. It's definitely been a frustrating last couple of weeks. We were really hoping for something better this week. We knew it was going to be a tough game, but unfortunately, for some reason, we haven't been able to get together. For some reason, we just have not been able to come up with an answer offensively. The way that our offense has been stymied the last couple of weeks. We're relying way too much on our defense to put up points. We're relying way too much on our defense to consistently stop the opposing team. The defense did everything they could last night. I think they did break a few times, especially in that second half. They gave up more points than we would have liked, obviously. Any points they give up is probably not a good thing. But at the end of the day, that first half was lights out. You cannot ask any more from your defense in the first half. Our defense was lights out, but our offense just couldn't score. We have to take advantage of that. We have to take advantage of how well our defense is playing, and we simply weren't doing that. Look at the Tennessee Titans game. Look at how crazy that first half was. What was it? 24-3 at the half. 24-3 at the halftime. I was sitting here. I was at the game. I'm sitting here laughing. I got Steelers fans all around me. We're talking smack to the Titans fans. We put up points. Our defense played lights out. Our offense complemented that. The next half, defense didn't really play that well. And maybe that's even another subject of conversation that we need to have. Because in a lot of these games, our defense will have a good half and a bad half. And we can't have that. I can't think of one game, maybe against the Browns, the Bengals, and the Jaguars. So a couple of games this year, I really feel like we played a complete game or a mostly complete game. Other than that, if our defense plays like trash in the first half, they'll play good in the second half, or vice versa. Same with the offense. Or our offense is just dog shit. I don't really know what to say. All I know is that I'm frustrated. I know Steelers fans are frustrated. I don't know what exactly we're going to be doing. I don't know exactly how we're going to change this. But we definitely need to fix something on the offensive side of the ball. And a lot of that comes from schematically how we're going to go ahead and lay out this game plan next week. Again, it is against the Bengals. They are not a good team. They do not even have Joe Burrow. But at this point, our offense is playing so bad we can't take that for granted. We can't go in there and play down to our competition. And honestly, like I said, I feel like we're watching. We had the offense back this year. When we're putting up big numbers, we're having big plays, and we're winning games. We're putting up 25, 30 points, right? We're having these big offensive games. We're like, okay, last year last year was tough to watch, but here we are. We got a quarterback. We got some more receiver depth. It kind of felt like the run game was doing a little bit better towards the beginning of the year. What happened? I don't know. I literally have no idea what happened. It's frustrating. It's very frustrating. Hopefully we can scheme this next week and try to get out of our own heads. I think that we beat the Bengals. If the Brownies lose tonight, then let's secure the AFC North next week. And I think we should definitely rest our starters. If not the last two games, at least the last game against Cleveland. I hate Cleveland with a fiery passion, but I honestly think that if we can secure the AFC North, then we don't play Cleveland with our starters. Cleveland's got a tough game tonight against the Bengals, or not the Bengals, the Ravens. They have the Giants, who have seemingly been doing pretty well, and then the Jets. So, I'll tell you what, it is not easy being a Steelers fan. With all the success that we've had in this organization, I've seen the Steelers win 2 Super Bowls. I've seen them go to 3, and all the success we've had over, in my lifetime, at least 30 years on this earth, all the success that we've had, it is not easy being a Pittsburgh Steelers fan. Not even a little bit. And I think a lot of it's because the standard is the standard, because we have such high expectations for this team. And it seems like so often they just don't live up to those expectations. They don't live up to the hype. I don't know. Hopefully next week we can get it all figured out. We can get this thing put together. I think we need to put together a better game plan, and hopefully we can get things back on track with the Bengals. Hey, listen, Jens Dono here. Tough week, tough last couple of weeks. At the end of the day, man, listen, ride or die Pittsburgh Steelers. We're gonna get this thing figured out. If we can get this offense thing figured out, get back to how we were playing in the beginning of the year, I really feel as that we could make a run. But if we continue to play like we did last night and against the Washington football team, as well as the Baltimore Ravens, then it's going to be one and done in the playoffs here, boys. So, hey, Jens Dono, check it out. Subscribe on Twitter. See y'all.